Hello friends, this is my YouTube channel all about English and we are going to do the Hindu editorial dated 14th of April 2018, which is the Ambedkar Jayanti Divas. Okay, we are doing the editorial which I found is really important for today, and it is based upon the article United We Stand and Divided We Fall. Now it is about the 15th Finance Commission. Now I thought is what is important is that it's important for us to know what actually finance commission is, and then only we can understand or form a basis for the report that has been published in the newspaper. First of all, the finance commission, it comes under article 280 of the Indian constitution. This 15th finance commission, and this was the 15th finance commission. Before this we had the 14th one, which was chaired by Mr. YB Reddy, and this is the 15th, constituted on the 3rd of November 2017, and the head or the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission is Mr. N.K. Sinha. He is a retired civil servant. Now, this Finance Commission basically always has some full-time members and some part-time members. The full-time members of this 15th Finance Commission are Shaktikant Das and Anup Singh. Though हो गए शक्तिकांत दास and Anup Singh, and the non permanent or the part time members are Ramesh Chand and Ashok Lahiri. Now we'll be understanding why do we need a finance commission, or what is the function of this finance commission. See, whenever our country, you all know that our country actually runs on the taxes that we pay to the government. Now, the government has to decide how it has to collect taxes, what are the products on which the taxes will be levied, what kind of tax, whether it will be a direct tax or an indirect tax. So that has to be defined and made by some committee or by some commission. Those points are actually framed by the Finance Commission. Finance Commission then gives us recommendations. How are we going to manage the revenue that we collect in our country in a year? How are we going to divide it between the various states, and also how are we going to divide it between the center and the state? Then it will tell us how to manage the resources, manage the revenue that we collect. How are we not going to run short of the money that we need to spend upon the various social and cultural schemes for the management of the country? What is the revenue collection, and how are we going to manage it? How we have to ensure that there should be no a revenue deficit in our country, means our expenditures should not exceed the amount that we collect from the people, or we should not be in a condition to every time go to the various international institutions and beg for money. So that is important, and that is something decided by the Finance Commission. Now in India, revenue collection and management is actually taught or being explained or being managed by three bodies. That is, one at the union, the center, the second at the states, and third, now the newly formed GST council. Means some of the taxes, how they have to be collected, and what is the slab. Like we have five what is the GST slab? 5, 12, 18, 28. Okay, 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28% on some of the products. So that is actually being decided by the GST council. Then various states decide how they're going to manage these state taxes. Then the union decides how we're going to collect income tax, what will be the slab for the coming year, though being prepared by the Finance Commission. But yes, the Finance Commission actually functions as a very crucial part of your Ministry of Finance, though being said by the Ministry of Finance. But Finance Commission is a very important and a link between the government and the Ministry of Finance. Now once you are understanding or reading about the 15th Finance Commission, or just the Finance Commission, you must know what is FRBM Act. See, suppose we have a big cake and one piece of that cake. So with that big cake is your Finance Commission, and that one piece or one slice is your FRBM Act. Now FRBM Act was brought into picture on the in 2003, and it was executed, or it was made an act in 2004. Now it is actually a sub part of the Finance Commission, and it will see, suppose you you know what an RBI is. It's the Reserve Bank of India. It has one governor, which now we have as Arijit Patel. Earlier we had Raghuram Rajan. Now we know if RBI manages hundreds of things, but the important point is, just RBI. Is it the sole responsibility of the governor to take to manage every aspect related to to the functioning and the financing of the government? No, it actually has various committees being formed within it. Similarly here also within the Finance Commission, we have committees, we have acts which take care of certain aspects related to financing of the government, management of the revenues, distribution of the revenues, disbursement of the revenue between the center and the states. How are we going to control inflation? Then how are we going to give allocations to the various schemes launched by the government? Very important. Like suppose we have first of all fixed, okay, this will be the tax on this on income, this will be the income tax, this will be the tax on various products levied, then like that, like this. Then we have to actually, once we collect the revenue, then we have to decide how are we going to distribute it between the various states, and also between the center and these states. The distribution between the various states is important because because it depends upon the population and many other factors which we'll be studying down the line. You actually have to understand in between the lines. It's very important. Then you have to understand how we're going to cut short on inflation, how we're going to fix the inflation rate, so that people do not have to run behind the crisis that incurs many a times. Like inflation, if increases, then people are not able to fulfill their demands, because the supply becomes very because there may be supply that people are not able to buy the products because the inflation is high. You cannot afford products, so the government has to ensure that there is nothing like we run into such kind of a situation. We have to decide also that we do not spend more than the revenue that is being collected. So how are we going to manage the social schemes launched by the government? Suppose we have launched housing for all by 2022. Then there has to be somebody to look after that scheme now, and also somebody has to ensure that if allocations have been done for that scheme, and suppose for example, I'm just saying 500 crores one year, the next year it will be 400 crore, and if the proper houses have been constructed, then you have to make a report and then see, okay, this much money has been allocated and now we need to cut short on this scheme. So that has to be decided by FRBM Act. Now we'll see further. I hope you are understanding. The Finance Commission has a very crucial provision. This 15th Finance Commission had a very important and a very crucial point, which said that it will be rewarding those states that have reduced their expenditure that will be incurred on populist schemes. What is the term populist or populism? It Finance Commission has said, okay, we'll be rewarding those states that have reduced their expenditure on populist schemes. Populist schemes means schemes that are related to the ordinary people. For example, Manrega, for example, midday meal, these schemes. Okay, now just can you imagine what kind of states are those which have actually cut short on such schemes? Okay, these states that have emerged as developed states, or which are like literate states where literacy rate is excellent, where people are earning good, where they have employment. Okay, those kind of states. So those states actually don't need to spend a lot of money on midday meals, or providing basic amenities to the people, because they actually have lesser number of people who live below the poverty line, or those people who cannot manage it for themselves. So those, it says, okay, those states will be benefited by this 15th Finance Commission. Now what is populism? You have understood. Populism actually stands for the ordinary people and the schemes that are being formed for those people. Just like you might have heard words like to please the local people, to please the people. They have been given plates on Diwali, there have been diyas on Diwali, they have been given gulal in Holi. Those states which are not involved in such kind of schemes, because these things don't actually stand anywhere. It's just that you are trying to please the people, and this is something not required. And if you have actually done something for the people, that is shown by the records, by the points that have been by the reports that have been created. Now, since this point was very important, saying populism scheme, now some of the MPs, when this point FRBM Act was brought into picture, this Finance Commission was brought into before the Parliament. Some MPs said, okay, those states which have suffered revenue losses should be compensated. Means, okay, those states which have not been able to collect revenue or whose revenue deficit is larger, those states should be compensated. Means, why have they not been able to manage the resources? Why have they not been able to make the benefits reach the poor? So those states should be compensated so that in the coming future they do not incur such mistakes. Now, so these were the 2 points, important points. I hope you have got it. पहला point क्या था कि पॉपुलिज्म स्कीम्स में जिन्होंने कम स्पेंड करा है क्योंकि वो स्टेट्स स्टेबल हो गई हैं, उनको हम रिवॉर्ड करेंगे. बाकी कुछ एमपीज ने बोला कि उन स्टेट्स को आप कॉम्पेंसेट भी करो जिन्होंने स्कीम्स को प्रॉपरली फॉलो नहीं किया या फिर जिन्होंने प्रॉपर मनी को उसके यूज़ में नहीं लाया गया है जिनके द्वारा. ओके, नाउ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज़ कि ये जो टर्म्स ऑफ रेफरेंसेस हमारे 15th फाइनेंशियल कमीशन की हैं वो 1971 के सेंसस पे बेस्ड नहीं हैं. दे आर बेस्ड ऑन द 2011 सेंसस. मीन्स द सेंसस, द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ द वेरियस स्टेट्स दैट was in 2011 and not in 1971. अब हुआ क्या? What is the impact of doing this? See, जब हमारा 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन था तो वो 1971 को एज अ रेफरेंस लेके पूरी प्रोविजन सेटअप हुई थी उसकी, डिवीजन ऑफ द टैक्सेस एंड एवरीथिंग. उसमें सिर्फ 10% हमने लिया था 2011 के सेंसस को. लेकिन दिस टाइम the full report has been prepared taking 2011 census into picture. Now you have to see how is the grant distributed. जितना रेवेन्यू आप सेंटर कलेक्ट करता है, सेंटर के पास नॉर्मली 58% रहता है और बाकी जो आपका 42% रहता है वो आप स्टेट्स में डिस्बर्स करते हो, एलोकेट करते हो. लेकिन स्टेट्स में हाउ डू यू डिस्बर्स इट? डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ द स्टेट्स. नाउ सिंस southern states have they have managed to control their population. Now what they are putting up a point is they are saying, since we are having lesser population, so that would only lead us to being given lesser grants, which is not acceptable to them. They want that, okay, since we have taken some good initiatives, we have the populations being reduced drastically, not drastically, but yes, we have managed, we have just we have just succeeded in managing our population, so we should actually be rewarded for those points. And therefore our prime minister said, okay, those states that have managed to control the population would be rewarded. But that is some point that has been has been a point of debate, because since some of the ministers didn't understand in the beginning that as to how is the allocation going to be done, because if southern states have lesser population then they would be given lesser grants. Though then finally Mr. Modi has clarified that, okay, that this is not going to happen, and those states that have managed to control their population would be rewarded. And that is an important, a good point. And now, ultimate aim. What is the ultimate aim? Can anybody tell me? Ultimate aim is that the resources should reach the needy. Don't you all agree? Yes, because हमें क्या मतलब, we are not doing state politics, we are not doing union territory politics. We only want that our country as a country should progress, as well as the states individually should progress, but not at the cost of not giving the privileges to the unprivileged. So are you getting my point? Means we actually want our country to progress, and we want the resources, the help, the finances to reach the unprivileged and the deprived classes, deprived sections of the society. And this is only the point that is going to help us build a nation which is going to stand up high in the coming future. So I think I've covered almost all the points. Now one more point is that you must know that the Finance Commission report is going to come October 2019. So till then we have to wait and see what is the matter going to, how is the matter going to be held till those dates. And there have been states in India whose population whose total population has reduced in the total share of Indian population, like in Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Goa, and West Bengal. See, West Bengal density of population is huge. Goa also we have people. Himachal Pradesh, it's not that densely populated, and Punjab. In these states, their share. Suppose in 1971, Punjab had 2% of the share of Indian population. Now it has only 1.8. It's not an exact figure, I'm just saying. So their population as a share of total Indian population has reduced. Four states: Goa, West Bengal, Himachal Pradesh, and Punjab. So I think this was all for the Finance Commission. I hope you all have understood what I'm trying to tell, and it's important for us to get to the base and then get things clearly understood by us. So this is Akanksha Gupta signing off. I hope you enjoyed the video for the editorial today. Thanks a lot. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to my channel.